to make bold moves. Now is
the Black Panther Party. Actually, the Black Panther.
We worked with many to your work.
Back into the hearts and the minds of our community. I got into this thing.
Hey, good afternoon. Miguel Lloyd, Vice President Marketing and Communication here for the Atlanta Black Chambers, owner of Lloyd Media Group, and all around trying to be cool dude. So anyway, welcome to Chamber Live. It is the month of May. It is Small Business Month. And so we want to make sure we acknowledge all of our great small business companies out there, because that's what we are here with the Atlanta Black Chambers. That is our primary market. First time tuning in here to Chamber Live, what we do is we recap you on the different information, different things that are going on in our community, in our Black Chamber community, and then we try to get some pretty solid, informative interviews. Today, we have a good friend of mine, Omar, our lead, is going to be on today. Omar is a real estate investor, but he is very intentional about how he moves with his business, and that it's all about servicing to the community. And so he's got a business in Ali at Lakewood, which is in the Jonesboro area of Atlanta. But we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into the conversation, because he was a key part of a legislation that was passed by Governor Kemp. I believe it was last week, and we're going to dig into that part of our conversation. We've got a new sponsor today. There's a lot of benefits to it, and they're also giving you a $50 e-card after starting if you pay Walmart Business Plus membership in May. So it's a great opportunity to connect. Let me bring in my co-host, Miss Keela. How you doing this afternoon, sister?
I am well. How are you?
I'm wonderful, wonderful. It's wonderful May. It's still a little chilly. I'm saying it's man, right?
Oh,
It is May, and we having 45-degree mornings. That's un-Georgia-like.
exactly. I went walking my dogs this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's cold.
Yeah, it is. It is chilly. As you say, we're in that season of the year where we're getting we're getting all four seasons in every day now. So it'll be cold in the morning, and by 6 o'clock we'll be in short sleeves. So anyway, let's jump into this thing, because we want to get my man Omar. He's already in the green room. We're gonna bring him in here shortly to talk about not only business as a service to the community, but also this legislation that was passed that has not been passed anything like this ever in the history of Georgia. And so we want to talk about that. So, but let's jump into our recap of this week. Let me get you set up. Let me get you set up here. All right. All right, Keela. Let's get into this recap of the week. We're going to start off right now. This is a little bit of what we got going. As we mentioned, we always start off with our social media, but let's jump on over into Instagram, because that's where all the good information is, or where
Yes.
everything is. If you're not following us on Instagram, search Instagram, AtlantaBlackChambers.org. Go ahead, my friend.
I mean, we are like nonstop, right? We're not even halfway through the year, and we are like on 10.
Yeah.
And there's some upcoming events. I know we have a DC fly-in that has not been posted yet. That's going to take place in September. So you definitely don't want to miss that DC fly-in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's coming up in September. We just had an event just yesterday, Let's Connect Georgia, with Venus Lockett, who's been around here she's been serving in our community for a long time. That was yesterday. If you are a member of the chamber, if you missed it and it was recorded, which most of our stuff is, if it's virtual, it'll be up in our members only Facebook group within 24 hours. So if you missed this event, you can go back and check that out. We've got this coming up in the month of May. I know you're going to be excited about that. Talk to us about this annual tea, which is coming up. And I know this stuff always sells out. I don't know if there's any room left to get
For the
registered.
ladies.
Yes.
No, I think this is Michelle Glover and in collaboration with our girl, Sherilyn Sellers.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sherilyn Sellers
so
with Urban Tea Party, a board member and also business owner who's doing some amazing work. You can always find her as well, order her product. But tell us about, have you been to the tea party before? Because, of course, I haven't been because I'm not one of the ladies, so I don't get to go. But tell us about the recap, how it normally
no,
is.
you know what? I have not been to any of the tea parties. I do plan to be there this May 21st. Sonia Booker, we all know and love Sonia Booker. She's doing phenomenal things. I'm looking forward to hearing from Chandran. This is just going to be amazing. I mean, Michelle, everything she does is
The Women's
just
League is
high
amazing.
level.
We just had our monthly South Metro networking meeting. I believe it was a couple of days ago. And I always tell folks, I said, if you're a woman, you're already a member of the Women's League. And rest assured, there's going to be some amazing opportunities for you to connect with other women business leaders in the community. Our organization is 65% women business owners. And so if you are a woman and you're in the Atlanta Metro, you're trying to connect to the folks in the Atlanta Metro. And if you're not a member of the Atlanta Black Chambers, you're missing out. So make sure you get connected to that community.
That's right.
Absolutely. And so a few other things we've got going. As you see, we just had T. Dallas Smith that was on our Tuesday Talks this past Tuesday. If that's another opportunity to connect, this is every Tuesday. These type of guests are pretty normal now. And if you don't know who T. Dallas Smith and T. Dallas Smith and Company is, he's a real estate commercial broker, one of the most successful ones here in the Atlanta Metro. And so once again, that's another opportunity. It's another reason to join and become a member of the chamber. In the comments field, there is a link there. If you're interested in becoming a member of the chamber, follow that link, join our community. We do a lot of stuff that's just service to the community all the time. But there is a lot of members only. Membership has its privileges. And so you want to make sure that, sorry, my office is right here by my front door. And I was like, what is that noise? All right. So anyway, so as we get into, once again, if you're following us, if you want to follow us on all the social platforms, Instagram is our primary source where we divvy out a lot of our communication, a lot of our information. We're very active on Facebook as well. As you can see, a lot of the same information in Facebook or Instagram, whichever one is your preferred method. The Lazy Entrepreneur Economic Growth. Jennifer Lewis is the proprietor here. I know her well. This is one of those young ladies that is getting it done. Very quietly.
Part.
Yes. I know her not only from the chamber, but also another organization that I founded and I'm a part of. And I look up and Jennifer's just doing something else. She's doing something else amazing.
Yeah, so I actually just had the pleasure of meeting Jennifer. She reached out to me via another chamber member.
Yeah.
And she asked me to speak. So I'll be keynote presenting on procurement at the Lazy Entrepreneur Summit.
Well, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
She, and like I said, she's one of those folks that you look up and like, oh, what you doing out here in these streets? And you come to one of her events and it's amazing and it's well attended and there's some great connections that you can make.
Jennifer is a hidden gem.
Absolutely.
I've come to realize.
No question about that. So there's also a registration link. If you can go to Eventbrite, follow Atlanta Black Chambers on Eventbrite, and whenever these events are released, they will be sent to your inbox, and you'll know a lot of times before the general public because of how quickly and how successful we've been a great resource for them. And so great opportunity. There's also, let's not forget about, we have our golf tournament, which is coming up June the 5th. That will be coming up here soon, and so that's Advancing Black Business. Marquis Tate and his what he's doing now as the immediate past president of the Black Chamber, now focusing primarily in this space, and so that's what he is doing. Let me go to a one shot and figure out. Let me close my door because I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but I know it's hearing me and it's bothering me.
But we're so busy, right? I mean, the ABC is we're nonstop.
We're absolutely getting it done.
Okay, so Miguel has went to go shut his door, leaving me as the host. I'll be your host for what, 2 seconds? How y'all doing out there? Feel free to chime into the Facebook chat. We don't want to miss your questions, your comments. But yes, if you are not an ABC, I joined ABC back in 2018, and prior to, I was missing out. So if you are not an ABC member, you are definitely missing out, y'all. We are just non-freaking stop.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Sorry about that. I think we learned something doing COVID, boy. I'm telling you, when you're in your home office, is you never know. You never know what's going to happen. All right, so as we mentioned, follow us on all the socials. Follow us across the world. So here's the thing. I want to bring in my guest because I'm pretty biased. I think Omar, his family, his father, and the organization and the work that they do is very, very key to the market. But you know, one of the things that I can say about Omar when we first met and we first started to hang out was that he and his family are very intentional about their impact on the community, and not only the impact on the community, but the impact that they're going to have. If they impact the community, they impact their family, and they create legacy. And so that's something I'll never forget, the conversation I had with him and his dad about that. Let me bring our guest, Omar Ali. Omar, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me good?
We can hear you, brother. We can hear you.
Hey, Omar.
You make me look all huge. Let me back up a little bit because you
I know.
It's good to see both of you.
Absolutely. As we mentioned, Omar, man, we appreciate you taking some time. I know you are super busy with all the things you're doing with your business and all the other ways in your community. So when we first met, you were primarily doing international business. You and your dad, you guys were primarily in the steel business, and then our former president and some things some relationship that happened with China. And next thing you know, that kind of shifted, and you had to pivot. And so now you are primarily in the real estate development space here in Atlanta. Kind of talk to us about that pivot and why that was a focus that you locked in on.
You're absolutely right, Miguel. When we first met, I think you met me at the highest of our companies, to where we was working in over 18 different countries, primarily doing structural steel. But when the president inadvertently shut the company down, we moved over into real estate, and I've been loving it ever since. And the way that we focus on real estate is very intentional. Just the way that you mentioned is that we like to find properties that's primarily in underutilized neighborhood, Black neighborhoods. And then we try to figure what can we do to enhance that particular community. And further than that, what can we do to bring economics to that particular community? So this is a space that I love. Ultimately, we're going to move 100% of the company over into real estate development, and we're going to phase out the manufacturing altogether.
Okay.
I love the manufacturing, but real estate is where my heart is right now.
So you're over at 1800 Jonesboro Road, and I want to pull that up because I want people to see this wonderful property that you have
It is
over there.
gorgeous.
It's let me pull this up. We'll get it up here in a second. But so the property you have over there, Ali at Lakewood, it is a former school, right? It's about a 100-year-old building, right? And so tell us about that process process of getting that business up and running out there in Lakewood.
So part of the building was a school. It was actually owned by a Southern Baptist congregation. Originally 1903. So when the white flight happened, it became owned by black clergy. In my hands to 8 different clergy, and eventually we ended up buying it. But what led us to that, Miguel, I'm very old school. I literally have a map in my truck, and I ride down streets pull out the map, put it on the hood of my truck, circle dilapidated building, and to see what we can do. And so once I found this particular building, and that when I studied the Lakewood area, I knew this was the area that I wanted to be in. So we spent a lot of money doing the research on the Lakewood area to determine what it was lacking. The first thing that we realized that it had a 63% vacancy rate of homes in that particular area. And then it had an 84% vacancy rate of commercial buildings. So we knew that we was onto something. If we was going to be the first one in this particular area, we was going to hit a home run with it. And we really did hit a home run with it. And so we was intentional about the construction. We was intentional about the tenants that we bring into the building. And we're intentional about the further development that's going on. Right now, Ali at Lakewood has about 70 people working in the building. The coffee shop, Black Coffee, which is phenomenal. 5 black young brothers that went to Xavier University. With a restaurant directly above that, owned by a black sister. We have the spot Iwi Fresh. That was our first tenant. Top floor, black doctors and black practitioners. And so just phenomenal what we've done in that particular area in conjunction to trying to build 20 homes in the area as well.
Wow, it's up to 20 homes now. And so you guys have been doing this thing now it's been about 4 years, right? Round about, give or take 3 to 4 years that you have had, and you've had some challenges. Am I right? 3 to 4 years, is that right?
It's been about 3.5 years. The challenge, we lost the whole year due to COVID. Just bad timing to pivot from the structural steel industry and what the president did, then immediately go into real estate development, and then to get hit with COVID. And so for the lack of word, we was bleeding in every area economically, but no, we stayed with it. We developed a model, and it's worked. Since then, we're trying to acquire the school building that's behind us that will give us 1 square block. And the school building that's behind us is going to be about a $15 million development, but that particular building is twice the size of the building that we currently have.
So that's something to speak to, and Akita, I'm coming straight to you after this. People who were not prepared prior to COVID, right? And you guys didn't prepare for COVID. You didn't prepare. You weren't, but you and your family are very legacy driven, right? And so you understand the ebbs and flows of business, and as much as things may hurt when it happens, you've prepared yourself enough to expect the unexpected, and you guys were able to ride that wave during COVID. Tell us about, give us a little advice from that perspective, as a lot of us are running these businesses and we're trying to keep ourselves afloat, not knowing what's coming around the corner.
I tell you, sad but funny story. Everyone was talking about mortgage reprieve, but that's only on the residential side. I remember calling our banker and asked, could he, give us a little reprieve, give us 8 months on the mortgage, because the tenants at that particular time couldn't pay it. Like I said, that doesn't exist in the commercial industry. Figure it out.
Wow.
And so that was difficult. We gave all of our tenants reprieve because everyone was going through hard times at that particular time. And so we allowed them to go. So
even though you did not get reprieve from your financer, your tenants, you didn't even bring that problem to them, and you gave them a break, and you covered that for the time that during that time.
Oh, absolutely. Look, if my wife heard me talking about this would bring bad memories back to her.
Keila, what you got to say?
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. 6 months, they didn't have to pay rent, and then we put the rent back toward the back end of it. But we had to continue to satisfy our debt with it, and we did it without a heartbeat at all.
Got it.
Omar, I want to speak to that for a second, because you're taking me back to a place back in COVID where I had a venue as well. But shortly after that, we closed our venue. But I also had the salon suite. So you're really taking me back to a place where I'm just now realizing, like, it's a sense of trauma, because we did similar. We provided relief, but my landlord didn't give us relief, and then to the venue point, we had events booked, but now people are canceling their events. We had funds that was already spent that we had to refund, because my integrity is everything. So everybody that requested refunds, we made sure that they got their refunds. But that was so
Hmm.
It was the worst.
Yeah,
So
I can. That had
yeah,
to be hard during that time,
yes,
and you would think sometimes that you would want to. Some of those folks probably needed to feel that pressure as well. But as leaders, we sit back and we say, okay, I guess that's the baby step or the leader in us to say, okay, we're going to baby step this thing. But yeah, man, that's part of the process.
Miguel,
Go
it
ahead,
was
Omar.
different. The Ali building is not the only property that we have, and to have to make the mortgage payment on every last one of the properties that we have. But I'm glad that we took the decision that we did, because to see the small business thriving in the building and just to see the connections that they're making, you can see that Black legacy just being developed just right there at that one particular property.
yeah.
And the amount of people that we're able to connect there. Everyone is self-driven with entrepreneurship in the building.
They tell us business people are successful business people are supposed to be selfish and we don't give a doggone about nobody else. Pay it up. Daddy Warbucks, that's the type of mindset we think about. Why are you so intentional about being a servant in this role as a business leader in the community?
You can do it both. Now, you've heard me say this before too. You can be a great leader, but at the same time, don't go broke.
Yeah.
You would do a disservice to your community doing it that particular way. And so
Mm-hmm.
my model is really simple. I'm going to make profit, and there's nothing that's going to stop me from making profit. And I'm not going to drive my legacy and the family legacy into the ground by trying to help everyone else. So you find that particular balance,
Yeah.
which means I don't have to hit a home run every single time. Case in point, we could have easily charged the tenants up to $22 a square foot in that particular building. Okay, what does that do if we lower the rent just by a little to help them particularly grow?
Mm-hmm.
Am I still gonna make money? I'm still going to make money. I'm not going to make the money that I wanted to make, but it is still extremely profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Are the banks happy with the amount of money that we're going to be able to make? Okay, the banks are happy. And then it just becomes a moral thing. Okay, I'm happy with a little less. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's difficult for business owners to do that if they don't already have financial means in place. And sometimes they're forced to make that particular hard decision. But my family, my father, we have a 3-year plan. And so it's easier for us to make those particular decisions rather than other people. But we do run into hard times. After we lost the steel company that was on the verge to do 70 million, that almost started us from back scratch, from square one. So I understand that concept wholeheartedly, but it's a balance we have to find.
I was going there next. Can you share that, because you just flew by that like that's nothing. One of the things I will never forget about one of our early conversations, that you and your family have a 300-year plan with your family. Do you mind sharing that with us a little bit? Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. My father thought of the plan years ago, and what it does, Miguel, it makes you think about what's best for my kids. Most people only think about their kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's further than your kids, and what's further than their kids, and so forth. And so I would have never been in a position if I was today if it wasn't for my father and the financial means that he gave me. And it wasn't big at that particular time. That small stepping stone that my father gave me, we look to give that to all of our kids in the family for years to come. And we have a saving mechanism in our particular family that we're not allowed to touch. We have trust in our family that's just for our kids, grandkids, so far and so far. Even when we make mistakes, we can't dip into that, because it's for the future. We just got to figure. And so that 300-year plan, before you know it, it's not that long. That's the blink of an eye. And if more Black families would implement a plan like this, the better off we could be. Imagine if you had in your family the ability to dip into a pool for $100,000 or $200,000, even $50,000.
Yeah.
That's a major stepping stone for Black businesses.
Absolutely. Keila?
No, I mean, you definitely touched on something. First of all, a 300-year plan. Wow.
Yeah.
There's some municipalities that can't even locate their 5-year plans. I think that we
Right.
need to, these are the conversations that we need to be having.
Right.
Creating a 300-year plan.
Right.
Create a 50-year plan. Let's
Right.
start there.
Right.
So thank you for that.
For some people, start with a 2-year plan. And know what you're doing, right? But one thing you kind of led, Keely, you talked about municipalities. And so, Omar, you have a lot of experience working obviously as a real estate developer. So you got to deal with the city of Atlanta and you got to deal with the community. I know you were having some challenges with some other tenants in the community, other business owners in the community. How do you stay the course? You're from Griffin, you're from down, you could easily, say that I'm gonna make my money and do something else and don't deal with folks, but you've been very intentional. And it seems like that's where you're gonna stay locked in. Talk to us about dealing with municipalities and communities as you move into somewhere where people aren't familiar with you.
So now this is the selfish part that most business people, I don't care what municipalities think. I don't care to have to get to know them, but I do know them. And I'm not famous, so if someone doesn't like something that we're doing, we just ignore it all, just to be honest with you. And I'm in a position where I can do that because I'm not famous.
Right.
But that being said, I know that I still have to get to know the mayor. I know I have to know the council people, the senators and things like that, because it just makes more for a cohesive community and a cohesive government. And so being in real estate, I wanted everyone to understand what is my intention, what am I doing in that particular area, and what I'm not going to do in that particular area. And it just makes things move forward extremely fast. Both of the council members in that particular area that I know very well, and they love what we're doing. Even the state representative knows me well, and I know the mayor too. So everyone loves what we're doing in that particular area, and we're going to continue to do that in that particular area. And I think, Miguel, you hinted on something because we had to deal with a lot of people in that particular area dealing with the Klan in that particular area. And so you get a lot of bad rep, even when you have to sit down with people like that to try to negotiate them out of the neighborhood so that the neighborhood can be better, for the lack of words.
Right. No, because as you mentioned, the building you're in has racist history.
It does.
Right? Tell us about the story about that building and why that was almost a driving force in you acquiring that building.
So when you do research on the building, it was built in 1903, and when you see some of the prominent people that donated to the building, and some of the people just attended the building, they all had racial ties to it. Well, I shouldn't say all, the majority of them had racial ties to it. So it was bittersweet to be able to acquire the particular building, put all black tenants in the building. It's something that it makes me feel good every time I go to the building just to see something like that. The Lakewood area has some racist ties to it. Most people identify Lakewood as being a black area. It's currently a black area, but what was the history before that? You have a lot of members that are still in the Klan that own a significant amount of property in the Lakewood area and throughout the Atlanta area. And so you have to stomach sitting down with them at the table to create a better path forward for the community. And I'm an advocate of not all affordability, Miguel. You have to have mixed income in order for a community to grow. And so when we're doing our development, we bring that into the midst that we can't do all affordability. All affordability can lead to the success of economics in a particular area. So when you have a very good mixed income, that's the key to success on the real estate side.
Drop anyone, if you have any questions for Omar, for us, for the show, drop those in the comments. We're going to try to bring those up if it's warranted. We also want to make sure you're dropping your business names and websites, as we do with every show, because we want to make sure we're giving you the opportunity to connect. Before we get into this conversation about the legislation just passed, Keely, you got something before we move to that part of the conversation?
No, I'm good. I'm taking it all in. I'm happy to be here.
Good deal. So just recently, and of course, I know that you have been working in different capacities and committees and things with the governor. Tell us about the relationship with Governor Kemp and the work that you're doing in the state of Georgia. Because here's what we know. There's a perception, Governor Kemp is Republican, they never do anything for black business. They don't care about what's going on in our community. Obviously, a good bit of our community was disappointed Stacey Abrams didn't win the election. It's over. Let's move on. But talk to us about your relationship with Kemp, why you're serving in that capacity, and the legislation which you were a part of that just passed last week.
I got to know Governor Kemp 5 years ago, and we've become friends since then. And the way that I got to know him is actually through one of the things that you helped us with, the super PAC that we had
GPAC.
5 yeah, GPAC. And so us being involved with politics, the first time I got an audience with Governor Kemp, and it's very rare to get Republicans that want to listen to you and understand your particular side. And so we told him the plight of African Americans as it relates to economics and what is lacking and what can be done about it. He listened. I can originally tell that he didn't understand where we was coming from at first, as most Republicans do. But the fact of the matter that he listened and he was willing to see what he can do with it, you know. Of course, there was skepticism at the very beginning. We didn't know Governor Kemp at all.
Okay.
So when he's willing to do something about it, we thought, okay, this is going to be just another Republican. But he held true to his word. And one of the reasons that we have been able to be extremely successful in the political field, we don't have a political affiliation. We will vote for a Democrat just like we would vote for a Republican. And we stay along those particular party lines like that. On both sides, it's who is best for the African American community, who is best for the small business community. That's who is going to get our votes, and that's who our supporters are going to support also. So over the fast forward over the past year, Governor Kemp made it his initiative to pass our minority bill. And so we went back and forth with his administration, different legislators about what it should be.
Okay.
Huge disagreement on some things that we agreed to. But our philosophy was, in order to get this passed, if we try to go for everything, they're going to fight on it. And you remember that who's been trying to get this passed for 15 years. And so we said, okay, we can't go for everything. They're going to fight. It's Georgia.
Right.
What can we live with and what can we not live with? And let's just continue to try to build on it from years to come. And I had passed. I got a call from Governor Kemp 2 years ago and said, hey, not 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago. So we're going to sign off on this. Come down to Augusta to the signing. And we was happy. The first time in Georgia that we have a minority bill coupled with a women's bill also.
Tell us about the highlights of that bill and why we as a black business community, we should be celebrating it. And then after we do the celebration, which should be quick, get to work. What do we need to do to take advantage of this bill being signed?
Yeah. So some of the good highlights, and I highlight some things that's good and some things I don't like about it too. Up to 1.2 million. If you have a net worth no more than 1.2 million, you will have exclusive rights to bid on projects just set aside for the minority program. Now, within that minority program, you have women that's in the minority program also. One of the things that I didn't like about that, I wanted the cap to be a little larger than 1.2 million, but we all agreed to 1.2 million. So what happened in Georgia, you're going to start seeing projects that's going to be let out by DOAS and other agencies also, that they're going to have contracts set aside ranging from 5,000 up to 1.2 million that will be exclusively just for minorities and people that are approved in this particular program, which is huge. This is a great start to something to build on. So
5,000 to 1.2, and Keela, jump in. You know me, I'm an old radio guy. I'm not gonna have any dead air. But 5,000 to 1.2 million could range everything from service provider, because probably 90% of our business owner partners in our community are service providers. So, but there's also a lot of contracts that you were in the steel business, other people in the cleaning business. There's opportunities in laying concrete. There's so many opportunities. How do they go about it? Because that's something your dad does. Your dad kind of teaches people how to go after these government contracts. Is that kind of the deal? What's the preparation that we need to be working on?
Yeah, so everything is going to be listed. All of the contracts is going to be listed on the procurement registry site. So it's going to be easy to identify those particular projects. But what's more important, how do you access them? And so DOE is still trying to roll out the mechanism for that. It's not 100% solid yet, but we expect for that to be in place within the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
But need to be fully prepared to know where to look for those particular contracts and quickly move from it. We're not just talking about DOAS, we're talking about Department of Transportation, GSA, every state agency it is will have to follow up on these particular guidelines. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that's going to finally start to flow to the African American community from a business perspective.
That's amazing. It really is.
I want to add to
Go
that
ahead,
too,
Keely.
if I
Yeah.
can. I love procurement. I am like borderline obsessed with it. I think that not enough of us leverage subcontracting opportunities too.
Right.
And Omar, I think you definitely know what I'm saying. Like, we don't have to just go for the big contract, go for being prime. Get with these bigger guys, introduce yourself, put yourself out there, and get involved in the subcontracting opportunities. That's how you get your past performance.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
So
a
That's
great point.
also
Go ahead,
a
Omar.
mechanism.
of both. The good thing about this is from cutting grass, supplying paper to building buildings, anything that you think of. Miguel, they actually have contracts to build websites. They have contracts with people that's going to primarily be their camera people, the people that's going to handle
Yes.
all of the live stream and all of that. So these are all things that is going to start coming out over time, and that eventually we want to increase that particular pool because it's very easy to get the 1.5 million net worth, very easy. So eventually we need to make sure that that's bigger. And then I do think ultimately we should separate and have a whole other program just for women. And so that it doesn't dilute the pie because a lot can do the program.
So are you saying women or black women or both?
So the way that it works is just women.
Got it. You know, that's something that that I also have been keeping an eye on. Anytime I ask people who are experts in the certification process, I said, we love our sisters and we love our women, but there are no set asides for black men at all. They just don't exist. Now people will say, well, there's the MBE, there's the minority, there's the veterans piece, I get you. So as a man and as your father, and you guys have been very successful in that space, as a man owning a business, a black man owning a business, what recommendations, what directions would you advise people to go when we're pursuing government contracting?
I would say that the first thing that you can do is figure out what you can handle. Don't try to go after something that's going to be too big, because I've never started that particular way. My first contract was a $1,000 contract. So the first thing you do is just really evaluate what you can handle financially, you can do, and you go off of those particular contracts and you build that particular way. Miguel, I have friends who've been pursuing $50 million contract, $100 million contract. They never got it. When they look back, look at my track record, we've hit home runs. You know, $1 million here, 500,000 here, and then sometimes we get lucky and get a $10 million contract. But we always started small with that 1,000, that 100,000. So I would say get in where you can fit in and just build that first.
Keela, talk to us about the certification program that we've got going on, and whatever question you had, because I know you're a part of our team that's working on getting more of our member businesses certified. But talk to us about, did we lose you? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You still there? We lost your camera. There you go.
Sorry about that.
go ahead and I know you had a question or comment, and let's talk about that certifications process, because I know Omar will probably have something to contribute to that part.
Before I get into the certificate, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Before I get into the certifications process, I just want to say also, I want to add to what you said, Omar, about the minority bill that was signed. I don't think I had the opportunity of experiencing legislative session. So in those committee hearings, I learned that you can go back later and you can add two bills.
You can.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, exactly.
So that's what the plan is going to be, to go back and add to the bill. And keep in mind, this passed, we only had maybe 2 people that voted against it, and maybe a handful of things. So that means all Republicans and all Democrats, most of them, voted for this particular bill without a hiccup. Now, I'm still shocked that the news is not talking about it a lot, because this is monumental, but eventually you're 100% right. It's easier to add on a bill versus trying to get the bill passed.
Exactly. Don't try to go for the whole elephant.
Right.
Hmm.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. And Miguel, I'm still going to be here. My phone is about to go dead. I'm going to grab a charger right quick.
Okay. All right. We got you. You know, and we I know we've had you for a while, and we want to respect your time. You're a busy man, so I know you got stuff to do. But Keila, talk to us about what we're doing in certification, because I want to get Omar's perspective on that and what the chamber is
Yeah.
locked in on doing.
Yes. So the ABC, we have a certifications committee where we are introducing this space to more of us, because for one, a lot of us don't know that it exists. And then for two, according to USA spending, they have the US plans to spend $4.6 trillion this year. Why are we not getting a piece of that pie, right? So a group of us, myself, Crystal Spellman, the amazing Gwen, Michelle, more of us, we are rolling out a contracts initiative that's going to allow more of us to level in this playing field. We're going to get you all certified. We're going to show you how to methodically go after these contracts. Um, One way being subcontracting opportunities. And I also want to highlight, we're going to partner with the Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Project, because this particular female organization, they've been doing this for quite some time, and they're right here in Atlanta. So we're stronger together. I'm big on collaborations. I'm happy that we're going to collaborate with WEOP, because they know the strategy. But I also want to backtrack for a second, if I may, Miguel.
Sure.
We need to get more civically engaged, right, Omar? Like,
Absolutely.
we would know about a lot of these things. And Omar, you're one person, but if we as a community came together over at Capitol, over at the Gold Dome with you, there's power in numbers. We need to be more civically engaged. We need to show up. Again, I sat, and I'm not going to preach, but I sat in these committee hearings, and there was so much getting passed in these rural communities. We're not really representing, we're not the representation for the rural communities. So you know where I'm going with that. But when it comes to Fulton County and DeKalb County, there were a lot of things getting shut down. We have to show up.
You know, one of the best ways that we've been successful is by focusing on economics. So when I went and met with Governor Kemp, we took businessmen there. And collectively, that showed a stance from dollars, basically. And they showed a stance that, hey, we have business-minded people in our community that have the knowledge to do certain things. And we try our best to exclude the clergy, because in my opinion, business is what's going to lead. Business is what's going to get their attention. When you go to protest and you take that particular method, it doesn't move the needle that much,
Yeah.
you know. But I know that you have economics that you can bring to the table and things that you can do. People listen much more, and I think that's the direction that we need to move in from the African American community.
No, it's a very valid
I like,
point. And I want, and I always respect our clergy community, and we know obviously we hate to see that what happens in the protests that are necessary because of gun violence and police brutality and things of that nature. But it comes back to economics.
It
And
does.
you know, when it's all said and done, as you mentioned, this Republican governor, what did you think? I think the quote was some 20 Democratic governors, 3 Republican governors. None of them had an interest in doing this for minority businesses, and now it's done. And whether it was done but if Stacey Abrams would have been elected, or is done now by Governor Kemp, we need to take advantage of it. Bottom line is we need to follow the process, get involved, as Keila just mentioned. And I know that you're also involved, Omar, with our Advancing Black Business Initiative, which is focused on policy making. And that's one thing that since we've been friends, man, you've always, you know, you don't even entertain a lot of conversations about anything besides growing economically. And that's something that I think that everybody needs to play their position, and that's your role.
I think everything else is a symptom. Imagine if we had right economics in our community. We can solve the healthcare issue. We can solve our own police brutality issue to a certain degree. We can solve our own job issue. So, Miguel, there's 43 million blacks, give or take, here in the United States. Imagine if we taught our kids to go and get a job. And if we were able to get 10% of them not to go and get a job, to start your own business, and if we were able 10% of them to start their own business, that's 4 million blacks starting their business. Those 4 million most likely are going to hire blacks. So what if they only hire 3 people? That's 12 million blacks that we just employed in our own community, just that quick. And so jobs is not the way to go. Creating your own business is the way to go. We hire our own people because, like, look, African American women are the fastest growing sector educationally. You guys are running circles around everyone when it comes to education, but yet you guys continue to fall behind when it comes to getting hired. And that's a huge service.
Yes.
So stop fighting. We can stop fighting and we'll create our own job and get it done.
All right, before we let you go, I would say you've given us a whole bunch of nuggets, but give us a couple. Your closing argument for entrepreneurship and for the celebration, because I know you called me once the legislation was passed, and I was proud of you. And one of the things you said to me, you said, "Man, I don't care what people say," because I know there's people whispering. We see y'all, we hear y'all, we read it social media. Oh, why we messing with Governor Kemp? He ain't about us. Blah 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 blah. The law has been written. His signature is on the bill. Now it's time for us to stop talking and take advantage of it. But what's your final thoughts, Omar?
My final thoughts, two final thoughts. One, as it relates to politics, why are we the only culture that has to sit on one side? No other culture, no other race stays on one side. And I think that's one of the reasons that they are extremely successful for moving their particular agenda. And we have to be the same way. We have to sit on the Republican side. We have to sit on the Democrat side. We have to go with what's best for our community, regardless of who gives that to us. And that's the nature of a true leader when they understand that particular policies. Set your pride aside. For business, I said this earlier, get in what you can fit in at. I've never looked at the next person on how well they do, but I still support them. They do extremely well, but I know what my capabilities are. And Atlanta has some extremely successful people, but we have to get out of the mind state of competing against them and do what's best for ourselves. And while at the same time, we want to see them to be extremely successful. You had T. Dallas Smith on last week, and we know each other. Extremely bright, successful guy. I've wished him nothing more. I love to see his company grow more and more. But what comes out? He appointed a good friend of mine, Leonte, to be the president of his company. And so the more we have grown.
Oh, look like we
we lost him for a second.
Look like we lost him for a second. Real quick, I want to go to the comments. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interest.
Yes,
Calvin
Calvin.
Maddox. Calvin Maddox is the reason why I know Omar Ali.
Wow.
It ironically, looking at this and seeing his no avatar is something that is Calvin. Calvin has been instrumental on the back end of a lot of what has been going on in the chamber for a while. So I appreciate him and his work. And he's right. And we know, I say all the time, the ones who are overtly racist, I don't have no words, I don't have no time for you, which is a lot of folks who, but just because a person is a Republican doesn't make them racist, doesn't mean they don't like black people. It just means that they have a certain ideology. Now, that has shifted a lot in the last 7 years. And you got a lot of people that are in the middle now trying to figure out where to live. And unfortunately, that's part of the game. We'll see if Omar, I know he said his phone was dying. Hopefully he may be able to come back on. We also have let me see, we have someone who's asking us a question about how may I get more information on Walmart. There is a link in the comments. If you scroll up, we posted it earlier about the promotion. There's a link there. But if you go to, I think the website is, and I'll click on the link and we'll get that figured out for you. But it is right there. You should have access to that in the comments. But we Walmart is our newest partner. Like Omar's coming back in, is our newest support. We appreciate him. I mean, them and what they are doing in the community. So make sure you guys support Walmart. They're there to support us. And let me see. There you go, Omar. What's going on? All right, we got you.
Sorry about that, man.
That's all right. That's all right. Boy, these phones, and I know you probably, you making money on it all day. So, you gotta find ways to keep it
Yeah.
charged.
No, I humbly apologize. I thought I had enough juice, so sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. We appreciate you, man. And I know there's some opportunities for people to do business with you at Ali at Lakewood. If you guys have not seen, tell us about this projection mapping. You have one of the only facilities in the city of Atlanta that has projection mapping. And while you're talking about it, I'm gonna see if I can find a video on your Instagram so people can see what I'm talking about.
So within the building, we have an event center. In town, there's only two of us in Atlanta that has this. It's the Illuminarium, then of course our venue. And so we have the ability to create a 100% immersive scene. It's just something that it's an idea that my wife thought of, and she hit a home run with it, Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just her venue stays booked. She's 90% booked this year, just phenomenal. Look,
Wow.
we wouldn't have the Ali building if I didn't give in to my wife. She told me if I buy another building and don't give her an event center. So I quickly said, let's make it happen.
I've been there. We've had some events that I've attended there, and guys, it's we talked about this as well. That once again you got a black owned venue doing amazing things in the city of Atlanta, and you said first thing, who was running to your venue first? White folk. I answered it for you.
Yeah.
Black folks are like, oh, it's Lakewood. Is it safe? Is it blah 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 blah? And most of the time with these wonderful events, it's a bunch of white folks. So we got to support our.
Now 99% is our people, black people that come to it.
Well, good. I think that conversation we had was about a year ago, and you said you were struggling getting them in there, and so now that's no longer a problem. It's this projection mapping, guys. This is not what you're looking at here. The entire room can be what you want it to be. And I've seen videos of 50th birthday parties, and this look like it's an art immersive event, and weddings, and so much is going on. So follow them, Ali at Lakewood. This is their Instagram account where you can get access, and then let them know that Atlanta Black Chambers and Miguel Lloyd sent you, and that means y'all got to pay an extra 10%. Omar, man, I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Before we let Omar go,
Mm-hmm.
we definitely should. I definitely want to highlight that May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And Omar, venues or the event industry is rated number 5 as being the most stressful industry in America. So how are you handling that stress?
So
Because you have one of the best events in Atlanta. You are creating memorable and everlasting impressions. How are you handling this? You are setting the bar high, brother.
You haven't met his wife, but go ahead, Omar.
There you go. What we did to make it a little easier, Akila, is that we just open the doors and charge for the projection. We don't get into all of the other things as it relates to decor. I think my wife, she made 7 events the year to do decor. And so we leave the stress to other people. If you want to come in, here's our fee. We'll open the doors. We have staff there, but that's it. You figure the rest out.
Right. You have one of only 2, and I'm pretty sure the Illuminarium is not as reasonably priced as you are. And
no, there's way more.
way more.
I got another question for him though.
Go ahead.
It's the whole immersive experience, right? And we're talking about high level technology. Have you ever experienced some type of technology outage? Because they're booking the space, I'm sure, not just for that, not just for that, but mainly for that.
That's important. Yeah.
No, we did. I remember about
Tell us
6
about
months
it.
ago. I wasn't working there because I don't work too much at the event center. I'm out there trying to buy the buildings, but I got a call and said the projection won't come on. It was a wedding, and this bride, she was pitching a fit. And people forget, sometimes just like your computer, you just got to reboot it. It doesn't happen often, but that's all we had to do. Just shut it down, cut it back on. It was good to go. But those things does happen, and you just hope that you got a reasonable client to understand.
Yeah.
And not ask for that refund back. but we've only had that
Yeah.
happen once ever.
And
Okay.
there's
That's
also
all.
some green space behind the building that can also be rented. I was looking to see if I can find a link, but go to aliyahLakewood.com, go to their Instagram, connect with them. This is a space you guys, it's got plenty of parking. As you mentioned, there's a school behind him that he's working on once again with the city of Atlanta and trying to get them. And I believe you won that deal. So is that done, or are we still working on
Not
that?
quite. So the NPU voted for me in my favor. They
Mm-hmm.
voted that they would like for me to continue to be the developer in the area and to
Mm-hmm.
acquire their school.
Mm-hmm.
And so right
That's
now the
big.
hands are with APS, Atlanta Public Schools, to decide if they want to sell it or lease it, and who's going to administer that RFP. So they're divided amongst themselves on who's going to administer the RFP. So
Yeah.
once they figure that out, we'll have it.
Yeah, and that's something interesting. Not only with all the conversation around the police training facility and the conversations around that,
Yeah.
if you come to Atlanta from somewhere else, you drive around this city, you see a whole school that's been sitting there not occupied for 15 and 20 years. It doesn't make sense. It just
Not at
doesn't make
all.
sense. It doesn't make sense, and so I'm glad you guys are tackling that.
Thank you. And
Omar,
Miguel,
man.
what that does, that will give us one city block. One
Wow.
square city block. When you look at the map, literally, that would be 5 acres that we will own within the city of Atlanta. That will put the total retail from the Ali building and phase 2 probably close to 20 million.
Man, that's
So
amazing. Congratulations, brother. You
appreciate
you and your family are my heroes, and we just gonna keep on riding his coattails, and we'll find something so we
Win
can
it
slide it in
together,
the back
rising
end.
tide.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. Omar and his father. And here's the thing: if we had his dad on, we'll try to figure that out and get his dad on soon, because he's a master in certifications as well. He's been doing
Okay.
that stuff in procurement for a long time. But glad we were able to have Omar on. He gave us so much time to dig into this thing. He's a servant. He serves on our board with Advancing Black Business, and so he's in that space as well. And so look for him around, but most of the time he's in the room. You don't even know he's there. Believe me when I tell you. But stuff is getting done. Great show
Yeah.
today. Outside of
Amazing.
a couple hiccups, we had our it is what it is.
That's technology for you, though,
Technology
right?
for you. I tell you what.
Yeah. When I had my venue, Miguel, I would have, and for those who wanted to use the projector screen, the AV
Mm-hmm.
system, it would give me anxiety. And I would
Right.
just be praying to God that it works, because it had a mind of its own.
Yeah.
It's like one day it works, one day it doesn't. So I had to get to a point where I just put it in the contract. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's complimentary. You're not even paying for it. If you want to use it, it's complimentary. That way they couldn't be
There's
request
ways to
refunds.
figure it out. Either it's complimentary, or you're going to have to pay for a technician that's going to manage this, and
There you go.
that's going to be a part of your fee.
Yeah.
And if when you guys go to Aliyah Lakewood and you look up in the ceiling and see the projectors that are in place to do what they're doing, you'll be even more impressed, because you walk in there, it's a 100-year-old building. So you walk in and it's like, oh, this place is okay. It looks okay. Okay, wait till you turn on those maps. When you turn on that projection map, it totally transforms that place. And I'm not joking about his wife. His wife is a rock star when it comes down to event planning and decor and things of that nature. They're a great family to deal with. And so if you have an opportunity, go do some business with them. All right, so great show today. As we mentioned, let me see if there's anybody else in the comments that we want to make sure we highlight. So left field. Anyone going to let me see. Yeah, so few people here. If you missed any part of this, make sure you go back. Make sure you share this conversation in your communities. As we mentioned, we want to make sure we give a shout out to our sponsor. We've got Walmart now, who is a sponsor of our organization, not only just Chamber Live, but they're sponsored organization. This is the Walmart business website. Just do a search for it. And then there's also a link in the comments. And there's some great opportunities. We're working on building the relationship with Walmart, and they're going to be key for us to even work on becoming becoming vendors of the Walmart community. There's some stuff in the works that we're working on. So as this organization community continues to build, there's going to be some great opportunities. Stuff we got coming up, as we mentioned, with the chamber. We've got the women's tea event, which is coming up. It's just always stuff going on with the chamber. If you're not following us with the chamber, I don't know what you're waiting on. Because there's some folks
Exactly.
doing some business and they're making some money in the community, and that's what it's all about, right? That's what we're here for.
It's
Anything you
always a
got?
pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sis. I appreciate you. We'll
Yes.
see y'all next month. You've been listening to Chamber Live. We'll catch y'all next month.
For us to make bold moves. Now is
Founder
the
of the Black Panther Party. Actually, the Black Panther.
We worked with many to your work.
Back into the hearts and the minds of our community. I got into this thing.